Every lead in this inbox was found this morning, enriched, scored, personalized email, written, assigned to the right campaign, ready to go. I didn't touch any of it, and my one job is to click this button. This is now my agency's outbound campaign engine. And I built this inside Make, and it runs off of about 10 scenarios. One Google Sheet and an AI agent that can see everything in instantly, which is my cold email outreach campaign system. I'm gonna go walk you through this entire build here, and I'll show you how you can run this safe, unattended, because that matters more than the automation. In this video, you'll learn how to run an outbound campaign from a Google Sheet, how to use Make's agent with knowledge files and MCP tools, the self-triggering webhook that saves 3,000 operations, and why eyes not hands is the only architecture I trust within this pipeline. Every lead in this inbox is found this morning, enriched, scored against my ideal customer profile, assigned to the right camp, and giving an opening line written in my voice. I didn't touch any of it. So my entire job in this system is the click of one button, approve all, or re-QA flagged. This is now my agency's live outbound engine, and I built this whole thing inside Make using Make's MCP server. So I asked Claude to develop the stuff, gave them the prompts, and I just wanted to see how far I could push this. And so typically I would show how I built it, but I didn't build it. I just gave it prompts, and then I had to go in and retinker. So I have actually 10 scenarios here that it runs with, and one Google Sheet, and an AI agent that sees everything in my Instantly workspace, but actually can't send a single thing. So again, I connected Instantly's MCP to Make.com's agent, but I just had a view all. I don't want it destructive or anything like that. So in this video, I'll show you how to run a full outbound pipeline from one Google Sheet, how to put an agent inside Make with knowledge files and MCP tools, the self-triggering webhook trick that saves 3,000 operations a month. So 3 days ago, I designed this whiteboard here. And here's the idea in one sentence. Leads flow from Instantly Super Search through an AI quality gate into campaigns, and every decision a human should make gets compressed into one click in my inbox. The spine of the whole thing is the Google Sheet here. And in the Google Sheet, there's 2 tabs. There's leads, and then there's campaign queue. In the leads, the status column is the life story, awaiting QA, scored, approved, uploaded, or rescued to LinkedIn. The other tab is the campaign queue over here. So again, we have 10 scenarios, and each one does exactly one job. For example, the fetcher over here pulls leads, the collector waits for enrichment, the list QA scores them, approve in one click, and the launcher uploads them. The reconciler tells the truth, the connector rescues dead emails to LinkedIn, accept watcher tells me when someone bites, and then the signal watcher grades everything weekly. So let's first pop into the fetcher. So every day, I go here, click save. At 8 a.m., the fetcher wakes up and asks the sheet one question. Which campaign is it filling right now? Let's zoom in. It reads this row here, the search filter, the daily limit, the cap, then 2 safeties checks before enrichment. Pool okay, under cutoff, dry, or at cutoff. First, is the lead pool deep enough? That's a free count call against Super Search. Second, is the campaign already full? There's 2 safety checks. Over here, as you can see, it grabs the search filters. Is the list pool deep enough? That's a free count against Super Search. And the second, is the campaign already full? It reads to see if the campaign is already full over here, if it's loaded or not. And I'll show you where the numbers come from later because counters essentially lie. So the second thing is the router over here. So there's 2 filter conditions. Pool's deep, campaign has room. If this is the case, and the pool is okay and it's under cutoff, it fires Super Search pull with a filter in JSON over here, straight from the sheet. If the pool is dry, I actually get a missive alert with instructions. Build a new search instantly in Lead Finder, paste the URL into the sheet over here with a new link, and then Claude pretty much pulls the filters from the new link over here. So here's the detail I want you to steal here. The fetcher finishes in about 8 seconds. It doesn't wait for anything, which brings us to the problem that broke this build twice while I was doing this. The collector. Pop open the collector. So because LinkedIn enrichment takes about 5 to 50 minutes, And here's the fun part. The API tells you if it's done or if it's not done. So the thing that broke is that I shipped leads with empty enrichment twice before I fix this. So this takes care of that. So the obvious fix is polling here. It just retries in 5 minutes if it doesn't have the enrichment. And here's another part. The collector is a webhook. So what that means is that it checks enrichment status, and if not ready, it calls its own webhook over here with an attempt counter. So if we go back over here, we can see wake up collector, and there's an attempt counter right there that starts at 1. Each retry is its own execution, 0 scheduled polling, 0 idle operations. So when enrichment is ready, it writes the entire thing to this Google Sheet here, as you see up at the very top. So when enrichment is ready, it writes the full profiles to the sheet, the headline, summary, company description, headcount, and marks every row awaiting QA, as you can see, awaiting QA over there. So this is the part that you came for, the next thing. So after that, we have the list QA. So as you can see, every 30 minutes during work hours, this runs. This scenario grabs 50 unscored leads here. So this should be 50. Save. Batches them into one input and hands them to the Claude agent over here, running natively inside Makes AI agent node. So if we click here, we're actually going to demonstrate Claude Opus 4.8. That is Makes new edition. As you can see, there's a bunch of rules here as well. And this is catered to Makes suggestions. Last but not least, at the very bottom, because I want the data structure to be very specific, I was able to have an array and enter all the items that I need. So flag reason, go up, personalization line, campaign assignment, all that information. Let's go ahead and save. So there's 3 things that makes this different node from, let's call an LLM and pray method. The first thing is the knowledge file. So if you see over here, I actually developed this in Claude while I was creating these scenarios to do MD files. So 5 MD files, my ICP scoring rubric, my campaign angle library, my personalization playbook, a vertical language guide, and my scaling policy. The agent retrieves from these on every single batch. This is why a plastics compounder gets a lie about compounds turning instead of a generic operations talk. The agent isn't smart about my business by magic. I wrote down how I think once, and now it thinks that way 50 leads at one time. So it thinks how I think. The next feature is the MCP tool. This is the feature I'd show everyone. So the agent has a live connection to my Instantly Workspace through the Model Cotex protocol, the MCP. 8 tools. Look at what they have in common: list campaigns, get analytics, count leads, preview enrichments. Every single one is read only. That's not an accident. That's the architecture. The agent can look at anything mid-decision, check the campaign state, verify a list, but it physically cannot send an email, create a lead, or spend a credit. Eyes, not hands. So the hands are deterministic scenarios, and between the eyes and the hands, there's always a human gate. If you take one thing from this video, take that. Give your agent the whole library and none of the levers. So just give it all the information for MCP, because it could be quite destructive if you just automatically out the gate get it to send files, get to send emails, things like that. So again, what we discussed before is that the agent must return the exact schema. So the row number, score status, campaign assignment, personalization line, flag reason, 1 object per lead, no parsing, pros with regen X at 2 a.m. The schema is the contract between the AI and the rest of the pipeline here. So I'm going to run the whole thing live. Before I run this live, check out some of the outputs. So this is the first line, the personalization line, the icebreaker. If you don't know much about this, please comment in the comment section below and I'll explain the personalization line or icebreaker concept for cold emails. So what it does, it reads the summary and information that it has on the company and spits out a line. And again, it's pulling from my specific angles, my specific cold outreach. So it reads into the next sentence. So the next thing is the launcher. Let's go ahead and save this. So twice a day, the launcher takes everything I approved and runs every email through never bounce, because reply rates means nothing if you're torching your domains with bounces, and bulk uploads to the right instantly campaign is really important. So 1 API call per campaign, not per lead. Leads with dead emails get marked bounce, and here's where most systems would just lose them. Not this one. Just hold on what happens with emails that bounce or emails that are not there. The next one, we have the reconciler. So every morning at 7:45, before anything else runs, the reconciler asks instantly directly, how many leads are in each campaign? Not what my sheet thinks. So like I was doing before, like counting it per lead, but I just want to pull it straight from instantly. It writes the truth back to the sheet. And then when a campaign hits its 250 cap, it pauses it automatically and the queue moves to the next one. I learned this the hard way. Never trust a counter you increment yourself. Always reconcile against the source of truth. So the next thing is the rescue channel. Okay, so remember those bounce leads that we talked about before? About a third of my QA pass leads die at the email verification. They're scored, personalized, perfect fits, and they're used to be they're dead ends or they don't have emails. And now every morning at 10, the connector picks them up and routes them to LinkedIn as warm connection requests through SendPilot. With the personalization line, the agent already wrote, writing along as a custom field. Different channel, different rules, blank connection requests and thank you messages with their plain line as the conversation starter, and a voice note at the end because nobody sends voice notes, and this is exactly why it works. And this is where the process ends, the accept watcher. And the loop closes on a webhook when it goes through LinkedIn. I get a missive alert with everything I need, their name, their pain point, their actual message. Replies are the one thing that stays human the entire system, on purpose, forever. So every single morning, just so I have a positive feedback loop, I have something that gives a signal for the entire system here. The system tells me when to look, I decide what to do, the division of labor never flips. So if we're looking over here, this build took me 3 days and subscriptions I already had. An agency would quote 5 figures for this. The daily work, it does list building, research, scoring, writing personalization lines for 100 leads. That's most of the full-time SDR. Call it 20 to 40 grand a year in labor. I don't have to hire, running about 500 make operations per day. But I want to be straight on why I built this is that I was researching leads very late at night. That's the hour that belongs to my family. And I was spending it copy pasting LinkedIn bios. The machine handles the noise now. I handle the judgment, and that's the trade. So if you do want to build this, the whole thing is make scenarios, one Google Sheet, the AI agent node with knowledge files, and MCP with read-only tools. Start with one scenario, the fetcher, and then add a piece a day like I did. Comment GTM, and I'll break down whichever scenario gets the most requests as a full step-by-step tutorial, template links in the description, build systems so you can stay beautifully human. So let's run this entire thing from the top. As we can see here, it has hit the webhook, it waits 5 minutes, and it starts to enrich the data. I'm going to start this to show you the magic here. This is the most important scenario and the starting point which I built this entire thing off of. This was the idea. So I run once, it pulls 50 or 14 because it only had 14 in queue. The agent is thinking now. It's pulling all my open campaigns. It's grabbing from the knowledge base here. There we go. It didn't have to pull the MCP, had everything it needed in the knowledge base. Writing the scores, fantastic. So we hop over to missive. Wicked, show more. Click approve all. Head over to the launcher. We're gonna go ahead and run that. Click missive, you can see that there's approvals, enrich leads, uploaded, awesome. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate these ones because these are pushing on the SendPilot stuff, but I mainly wanted to focus on this one here. And that's it. If you want to build this, the whole thing is make scenarios. One Google Sheet, an AI agent with knowledge files, and an MCP with the ability to read only. Start with one scenario, the fetcher, and add a piece a day like I did if you want to build this for yourself. Comment GTM and I'll break down whichever scenario gets the most requests as a full step-by-step tutorial. And remember, build systems so you can stay beautifully human. Chat soon.